Well, hello, and thank you everyone for being here today. I'm Marlo Daly Galliano, and we have this session today at the CTL, which was requested by a chair on behalf of faculty on engaging students with videos. And I've got several presenters on our panel today. They're all going to share some ideas about how they use videos in their classes, and then we should have quite a bit of time left at the end of the session to open up the conversation, share ideas, ask questions. So to get started, I am just going to do some introductions. I'll call on you in the order you appear on my screen. If you can say your name and where you work on campus, and then we will get going. So Jill, can we start with you?
Hi, I'm Jill Rossiter. I teach in humanities. I teach English 101 and a lot of literature. Did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, thanks. When
did I freeze up?
You did.
You called my name and I froze. Okay. Oh, that was weird. Yeah, I'm Wendy Shuttleworth, and I've been at LC since 2005. And I'm in the science division. I still cannot say our new name, so I'm just going to say the science division. Sorry, Rachel. But I teach both biology, chemistry, natural science.
Great, thanks. Heidi.
Heidi McMillan. I teach justice studies up on the Coeur d'Alene campus.
Thanks. Rachelle.
Hey, Rachelle Genthos. I'm a psychologist, so I'm in the social science division, and I've been here for about almost 10 years now. I think this is the end of my 9th. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Rachel.
I'm Rachel, and I teach chemistry, and I've been here for about 20 years.
Thank you. Angela.
Weird. For a second there, it told me I was unable to establish a secure connection. Like, what did I do?
I had
Anyway,
that too.
I'm Angela. I'm over in e-learning, and I've been here since 2009 and with LC since 2007. I was with the teacher ed division for a couple of years as irregular help. So.
Great, thank you. Emily.
My name is Emily Jervis. I actually work in the International Programs Office, but I do teach some student development courses and am in charge of our English Bridge program as well. So I'm looking forward to learning from all of you.
Thank you. Hi, Laura. We're just introducing ourselves.
Right on. I'm Laura. I think I know almost everybody here, and I teach in the social sciences division. I teach sociology, and I've been here since 2007.
Great, thank you. Ben?
Hey guys, my name is Ben Moore and I teach in communication arts. I've been at LC State since 2014.
Thank you. And I see Marcy. I'm not sure if she's fully connected yet. Are you there, Marcy? Looks like maybe not. So I think that we can get going. Each of our panelists today is going to offer some ideas about their approaches, and we're going to go in alphabetical order by last name, which means Rachelle. We'll get started with you.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to talk about how I use videos as lecture material, which is pretty standard. Announcements, feedback on graded assignments. I capitalize on some of the newer features that Canvas has enabled. I also use them as part of discussion posts and then graded assignments where the students actually present via video to each other, and they actually give feedback via video as well. And then I also will communicate with students. Like if they send me an email, depending on the content of the email, I'll actually send them a video back. So most of the reasons why I use videos and the kinds of videos that I use are based on research that's coming out, looking at the effectiveness of videos, like their length. And I can send these citations to you, Marlo, if that's helpful. But they're finding that there's a pretty big drop off after about 9 minutes of video. And so I try to keep even my lecture videos pretty short. Let me share my screen. All right, can y'all see that?
Yes.
So rather than having one big long video for a chapter, I actually split it up into smaller chunks. So there's actually 4 videos instead of just one, and then some supplemental videos that highlight certain researcher context. And there's also some research that looks at having your face as the instructor on the screen. And that's been shown to increase student engagement as well. And so I either use Camtasia or a program called Screencastify that allows you to actually embed your video on what you're talking about, which it took me a while to get used to that. I didn't like having my face on there, but it is helpful for expressing emotion and having more of that naturalistic, nonverbal behavior expressions, like I'm using my hands right now. So that's one way that I use videos. And Marla, you said 5 to 8 minutes, right?
Yes.
Check in. Okay. And then this isn't a sample of a video I actually sent out this morning. And even if I do write it out, I still try to talk about it, especially in my online classes. And I initially started enacting all these things in my online classes, but now I've been also doing them for my face-to-face students, because I feel like it just keeps that connection stronger. And so they can watch the video to get context and details, and then I put the highlights in the text for them. Another way that I use videos, I did a screenshot here so that I could keep the student's identity anonymous. But so this is just a screenshot of the assignment portal in Canvas, and I used Snagit to put a big red circle around where you can see the feedback video. And so in the comment box, there's a little video thing that you can use. And Angela and Carrie have been awesome about letting us know about updates with Canvas. And this is one of the things that I immediately started using. I also started using their canned feedback. And so you can actually save different blocks of feedback. So I make one for each assignment, and then now it saves me time typing it out to each student. And then I tailor it to the student, and then I'll also give them feedback. And part of the reason for that is I type out a bunch of feedback as well, but I feel like we don't have feedback conversations. And so I try to instill those in my classes. And so they get to also hear me talk about it. And we all know getting feedback can be really difficult. And so I try to praise them and also give them context as to why they're receiving revision requests or whatever it might be. So that's feedback on graded assignments. And then I also do part of discussion posts. And so this is one from my class I'm trying to get rid of the Zoom thing, from last fall. And so I had them do these discussion posts, and most of them involved a video in some way, whether they had to post a video themselves, watch a video, or watch a video of me. So they had to watch this video, which is a video from a social psychologist named Fritz Heider. It's like 80 years old, and it's just these objects moving around. And then I chimed into the discussion with a video of my own that they were supposed to watch, and then they would respond to that. And then in other discussion posts, I also have them respond to each other and pick, they have to watch all of them and then pick 2 people that they need to respond to. Yeah, and then I wanted to keep students' identities anonymous, so I'm not going to pull up an actual assignment, but it looks something like this, where every student has a video that they've posted. And so the last one was especially for students that are under duress or they're asking for an extension or they have big life events, I just opt to send a video just like this back. Even if they don't send one back, they've messaged me via email and I send a video back, because I just feel like without that extra linguistic information, it's just easier for me to express myself live, even though it's recorded, rather than emailing. So those are the 6 ways: lecture material, announcements, feedback on graded assignments, discussion posts, as assignments, and then as just communication with them. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Rachelle. I appreciate that. Rachel.
So I started teaching online in 2001, And people really didn't have videos then. It was, and they have slowly kind of, as Rachelle really pointed out, there's, every year there's new things, and new technologies and new things to try. And I think continuing to try new things with videos is really valuable. I will say that when I started, I did use them as lecture material for online classes, and Rochelle's already gone through sort of keeping it short, which is the main thing. The other piece, which I think also Rachelle alluded to or talked about, is to have things centered on a specific objective or outcome. And so I'm backwards designed for the class, to start with what we want the kids to be able to get out of it, then go to the outcomes, and then simply speak to that outcome. I think that one of the things that I discovered along the way was that I'm not a good actress. I'm not actually an actress at all. I'm terrible at it. And I can't read a script. And so one of the things that I discovered from my students, especially in organic chemistry, was that as soon as I started to script something, they couldn't understand it because I would read the script. And when I read the script, I actually read kind of fast, and I'm not really processing what I'm doing. And the students could always pick up on it. And interestingly, when I switched to an inverted class, and that's what I'll share, using this for an inverted class, the videos for an inverted class, but what I actually got complaints whenever I would read from a script that the students couldn't understand what I had been talking about. And so what I try to do is to keep videos 5 minutes or less. I think Angela had always called those micro videos or something like that. But to keep them from 5 minutes or less to practice, I do have to practice them a couple times before I can get a final video that I really like. And I just speak to the objective or the outcome, and just try to do it short and sweet. So I'll share my screen see if I can find it. Maybe I'll stop for it. Well, I might that might be funny for a second. Let's see here. It might be you for a second, Jill. We'll see what happens. Nope, it's not you. It's my background. Let's see if I can find where I put this now. I might need to stop sharing. Sorry. Where did they go? Okay, it just got hidden somehow. Try that again. All right. So this is my Organic 1 chemistry class, which is done as an inverted classroom. And for each class period, if I go back to the modules here, I organize it by chapters. And just to choose one here, we start with just the overview of what they're supposed to do before class. And then I list the outcomes that they are supposed to get out of each video. And then they have a problem to submit for each video. And then they hand this in before class. And then I look at it before class and see what they're struggling with or not struggling with. And so there's always a couple of these videos, and I just use Snagit to record them. And then they each have a set of outcomes, some page reading, terms to look at, and then the problem to do that they should be able to do after they look at the video. And so then that's what they submit prior to class. And here they're supposed to also write their muddiest point. And then I take those, and that's what we do in class. So that's kind of the main way these days that I'm using this, using videos. I do use Flipgrid for students to have conversations and and post short videos. And Suzanne Rousseau is kind of the expert on Flipgrid if you want to talk with her about it. But it is embedded into Canvas, and it's just a really easy way for students to upload videos and talk to each other about various things, and they seem to like that. And then also, I think Rachelle's right on that it's so often easier to respond to students who have questions via email with a short video and just video it rather than trying to spend a half an hour crafting some email. So I'm a super big fan of video responses to students when they've asked a question. So I think that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Let's see. I think you're up next, Jill. Rachel, can you stop sharing there? Okay.
Okay. So I've been teaching online since 2000, and things have changed a lot since then. And so when Marlo talked to me about this, I said no. But then I thought about it for a while and decided that I had some things that might be helpful. And I kind of approached this as the things that I have learned in the last 23 years teaching online, and mostly the things that I wanted to mention are mistakes that I have made and the time that I have wasted trying to figure things out. I thought that maybe, just providing a little bit of advice that way might be helpful. So I have a screen to share, hopefully. I have about 50 videos that I recycle every single semester. And I know that a lot of people can't do that, and I get it, but I think it is possible to recycle somewhat. I can't imagine trying to recreate those 50 videos at the beginning of every semester. So I feel like it's important to be able to do that. So there are 3 things that I have learned that are important to me, and those are organization, which is the way that I organize my videos, content, the things that I include and the things that I definitely avoid when I'm making a video, and finally connecting the content to the assessment somehow. So organizationally, and again, this is definitely experience here. I don't know that it's necessarily the best way, but I think that it's important to name your files and folders ahead of time, know what you're going to name them, and then decide where you're going to keep your videos. If you're going to keep them on your computer, if you're going to keep them on YouTube, or if you're going to save them in both places, because you have to create it on Snagit and you have to upload it. If you embed it in your course, then you upload it to YouTube and embed it. So you've got a lot of moving parts there. So a system, like I call all my English 175 videos lecture 1, lecture 2. And then also I have labels for my video that tell me what the content is and what the date that I either created it or revised it. Because what happens when you've been doing this for a long time and you think, oh, there's a mistake in that video, or oh, I'm going to try, like an A/B sample, I'm going to try a different one. Then you've got all these videos and I don't know about you guys, but I hate watching myself on video more than practically anything in the world. So if I have to sit there and watch myself blabber on about some writer, some poet, I'm like so done. So if I have a good label and I have a good date, that's important for me not to have to listen to myself anymore. So I also differentiate between an old version and a new version of a video. If I'm not going to use it again, it's gone. And I delete, and on that same vein, I delete the obsolete videos. I have a hard time getting rid of anything. So that might be easy for you, but it's not easy for me. But I really do try to make myself do it. And maybe it's obvious, I definitely think it's important to group your classes together so that all of your videos from one class are in one place, all of your videos from another class are in another place. So as far as content goes, when I'm making videos, I make sure that my content is general. My color palette is consistent and my organization is consistent. So I ask myself when I create a video, will this be true next semester? Will this be true next year? I don't talk about presidents, for example, because that gets old really fast. And if sometimes I might create content, one video, like you were saying, Rachelle, that you do several different videos, keep them short. I might do one that maybe is something I can reuse. And then the second half would be something that is on more current event type thing. So that at least I have that one that I can put in my pocket for next semester. So this semester, my students have a paper assignment, and ChatGPT, I'm sure you guys know, I teach writing, and it's just made my life, made me want to pull my hair out completely. So I had to create a new assignment this semester. And what they do in this is analyze art. And I had to go through and find paintings that they couldn't find anything about on the internet. So I had to go through and try search all of these paintings and see if I could get ChatGPT to come up with anything. Well, when I'm making a video for this, the problem is that if I put that painting in there and then ChatGPT learns about that painting, then that's not going to work anymore. So I'm making a general video about the process of analyzing the art, and then another video introducing the art. So separating the content so that if I can't use one of the videos, that's okay, because I still have this other one to back up. Okay, so I also think I mentioned organization. I feel like my students are a little more nervous online and they don't have as much face-to-face. So I feel like presenting my lectures in the same format every time with a consistent color scheme and a certain amount of predictability is important, because they know what to expect each time. So that's my suggestion. Okay, so what not to include? I think don't include time-sensitive information. I have redone my bio so many times because my kids grew up, and I was always like, oh, my son's at LC. And then the next semester, I'm like, oh, he's done. I have to write another video or do another video. So I have decided that my bio is going to be very boring, and it can be the same in 5 years that it is now. And I'll look better because it won't have new pictures. And so I also don't ever include, well, anymore, I used to, I don't include a specific timeline, nothing with dates. I don't even say fall or spring because that can mess up your video. I don't ever include website links, because if you do include one website link, it will be the one that's broken when you go to the next semester. And I don't include the talking head. And I would like to have Angela address this before we leave today, because I was taught that the face is a distraction instead of a help in a lecture. That's just what I'm talking about here, is just the lecture. So I'm interested in that conversation when we finish. The last thing that I wanted to, oops, that's the wrong one, I wanted to mention was assessment. I believe it's really important to connect your content to your assessment in a way that it is easier and more entertaining to watch your video than it is to Google the answer, because they can Google the answer. I mean, there's no way you're going to create a video that can keep them from, there's no way you're going to say something that they probably can't find out by some Googling. So I try to create a video that is, like you said, short, but sort of entertaining. I mean, I don't think I'm particularly entertaining, but I try. I also provide a script because I was taught to do that. I also feel like I don't necessarily talk from the script. I always have one, and then I find myself off on a tangent sometimes. But if I have a script, then a student can watch the video, take the quiz, make a mistake, go back to the script, find the answer to the mistake they made, go back, retake the test, and know all of the information. So that's how I teach it. I allow two attempts on the quiz, and I provide a script so that they can check their answers. I feel like that is the best way to get them to use my class for information versus just Googling everything, which sometimes I think that they do. Yeah, so I think that's all I have now. Just that I wanted to make sure that that we revisit the idea of the talking heads on the video. And I also I wanted to say that I love the Canvas feedback video. I'm really big on beginnings. So like on the announcements, I'll create a video in the announcement and introduce myself. How are you doing? It's the first Friday, you know, that kind of thing. I don't do that. I think they get kind of sick of me. So I don't do that all semester. But I do it at the beginning just so that they know that there really is a human being on this side of the screen. And I find the tool clunky, the tool in announcements. I'd like to have a conversation about that. I tend to make it in Snagit, import it, because I've recorded a whole 5-minute message multiple times and then had that upload fail on the assessment, on the announcement. So, and the other thing that I would like to see, just as this is my big, I'm way out of time here, I'm sorry, but it is screen sharing on the feedback of the papers. We still can't do that, right? Is that?
What do you mean by screen sharing with the?
Like, so if I'm looking at their paper and I'm trying to make my screen go away.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There we go.
You want to do.
Right. If I'm sitting there and talking to them about their paper,
right,
they're looking at my face and I'm going, you know,
right.
If you would just, it would be really helpful if they could look at their paper with me.
Right. And that's not natively built into Canvas. You would have to then use Snagit to do something like that.
Yeah. And then it becomes a whole thing where
Right.
you have to make a separate video, save it, upload it. So I wish that we would get to that point, but.
That would be wonderful. I'll have to look on the Canvas community to see if anybody has made that suggestion, because they have all kinds of places where you can suggest features for Canvas, and that would be cool.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Wendy. Oh, we can't hear you, Wendy. Are you muted?
Sorry. So you couldn't hear the barking dog, right?
No, we didn't hear the barking dog.
He hasn't barked yet, but there's still time. So let's just. Uh-oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Trying to screen share here without completely losing what's going on. Let's see. Okay, that's not working. Every time I try to open up my little thing, it's taking over the entire screen, so then I can't see anything else. No, okay, forget that. Okay, I'm just going to talk.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so thank you very much, Jill, chiming in. I think I made the first videos back in, I want to say 1995, and that was for WSU, and it was absolutely light, sound, action. I mean, it was like bright lights, you know. I had no control over the editing or anything like that. Crazy, crazy stuff, VHS tapes, all that stuff. Then I started using videos for my classes here. It was actually in about 2014 when I was moving to an inverted class for my upper division class. And so at the time I was using Camtasia, and I made these fancy dancy videos that, to be honest, I'm still using, and I'm still using them because they took me so long to make. I just can't let go of them, right? So I have that issue going on with that class. Since then, you know, I dumped Camtasia, went to Snagit much quicker. So the last on-campus class I flipped just 3 semesters ago, and I could make the videos a lot quicker. So I kind of went from this intensive editing. It was the editing of the Camtasia videos that took me forever. I mean, forever, to the Snagit ones where I minimally edit. I mean, you know, I'll take out the sneeze or the really bad stutter on something, and it still takes a while, but I'm not editing anywhere near as much. And then now I've started using more of these sort of snippet videos, which I'm just going to use the phrase quick and dirty. I mean, that is what is happening. You know, I made a couple yesterday and just very quick using the iPad or quick Snagit from my, you know, from my machine. So what are we using them for? Well, definitely content, a lot of content for the inverted classes. Even though I have gone for shorter videos with my newer ones, I'm not sure I can get the 9 minutes. And as for Rachel's 5 minutes, no way in heck is that going to happen. But I have been breaking stuff down, so they're definitely getting shorter. For my online classes, I'm really trying to break them down. So at least, you know, nobody's running over 10 minutes if I'm, you know, if I'm good. So sometimes they do. So the content delivery, you know, I'm sort of comfortable with what's going on, except for the old ones that I just can't bring myself to have to make new ones on. But one of my big problems that I'm really struggling with is getting the students to actually engage. I am not convinced, these on my online classes, I am not convinced that students are using these freaking videos, because the questions they ask, and I'm sort of scratching my head going, didn't I do a sample problem just like that? And I start, you know, looking through and I'm like, you know, minute 8. Well, that's the problem, of course. It was at minute 8. If it had been at minute 3, maybe they'd have watched it. But, you know, I don't feel like they're watching those videos. And so my frustration is how to try to get the students to engage in those videos. I've started setting up Canvas so, you know, they can't move on unless they've at least opened them. Yes, I have quizzes, but I don't know, and this is where I'm very glad that Angela is here, but is there any way we can embed a quiz into those videos? You know, just like those compliance things that we have to sit through, you know, and you can't walk away because it's going to ask you a question. Do we have the technology to put that in our videos? Because I think that would be super, super useful. Because yeah, my problem is I am not convinced my online students are actually really, you know, using the videos. And what I'm trying to do in my videos is synthesize the book chapter, because they sure ain't reading the book. You know, so that's my main frustration. I do not feel the same with my inverted classes on campus, because it's so obvious if they come to class and they haven't engaged with the videos that, you know, they know. I mean, they're immediately called out, even if they're not called out, because they just don't have that information with them. But for the online classes, I'm just very, very frustrated and very unsure as to how to move forward with that. The other things I've been doing recently, I have not got around to doing like video announcements or anything like that. That just sounds like a lot of bandwidth and a lot of time, like loading things back and forth. But I have been making more videos for just sort of, like the beginning of lab with my online class. This is how you set this up. And this is a quick and dirty, you can't see me, you can see my hands just setting things up, saying this is where you need to go, you know, with this particular lab that you're doing. And the students do seem to benefit from that. My concern there is that I started off only doing that for the more complex labs, where I thought the students would need a bit of help setting things up. They are now requesting / demanding videos for all of the labs. And my concern there is that, yes, I would be helping them, but am I enabling them, because they need to be able to read instructions, right? So I'm kind of caught in that. How much of this do I do? Just this week, my on-campus students were struggling with a lab. We had used the same technique 2 weeks ago, right? They clearly had not engaged with it because they didn't know what they were doing. And I actually spoke to Laura Lee, and I'm like, should I make a video of this that they can go back to? Or, you know, should I just be demanding that they go back and read it again, which is what they really needed to do? So I'm kind of caught as to, you know, where to go next with all of this. And I'm hoping that people have some ideas. And I don't know if Angela's got any extra technology or something that we could utilize. The other thing that for my video content for like the online classes, as far as I can tell, we still cannot like embed a video in a video. I used to be able to do that before it all went on YouTube, but now it's on YouTube. I can't embed somebody else's video on mine, or I get thrown in YouTube jail. Whereas in the past, when I was uploading MP4 files, you know, you could do that. And I mean, I think that's something, if there was a way of somehow being able to do that, I think that would be helpful as well. You know, just clips, just the clips that you'd show in class for like 2 minutes, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if I'm just old and jaded, but I'm struggling.
Would this be an okay time for me to talk about some of that?
Please.
Sure. I think we've
I don't
generated
know if
lots
I'm
of
cutting in the
questions,
line if
so-
somebody else was lined up to talk after you.
Nope.
So-
Wendy was our last presenter. So
Okay.
Angela, if you want to tackle any of the questions from the technical end, and yeah, then I think we can open it up to some of the pedagogical questions that have come up too.
So I did notice in the chat, Ben posted a link to Panopto, and there was also Edpuzzle mentioned. I've used Edpuzzle a little bit. I found I didn't love it. It was not intuitive to learn, and I felt like it was very click heavy. Of course, with a lot of those tools, unless we pay for the premium service, the integration into Canvas becomes a lot of clicks. It's a lot more work. You can do it, but I actually took a engaging students with videos workshop from the Online Learning Consortium over spring break and learned about one that's called PlayPosit that lets you build. Again, it's like Edpuzzle and Panopto, lets you build quizzes. You know, you can add multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank. You can even have like basically like a thought point where it'll just pop up some text and prompt the student to read it and think about like, here's what's coming next. Think about these things as you continue the video, and they actually have to click continue to carry on. I don't know if I can share my screen. I will show you what I built in the class.
Angela, is there a way to keep them from advancing if they haven't watched the video?
Yes. So this one, PlayPosit does let you do that. So this is a little, are you seeing me on the screen now? My little class. So I literally just grabbed my course introduction video. You know, they wanted us to do something that was, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes long. And this is the final product. So you'll notice down on the bottom, there's these little markers where I have put what the tool calls interactions. It starts out with a prompt that says, you know, this class has interactions. And so throughout the video, you're going to be prompted to answer some questions, and then they have to click continue to keep going through the video. And then the first one is, it will come out at the end of the term knowing way more than you ever wanted to know about Canvas. So then it pops up this, what is your instructor's name? And again, these are super basic questions because I was just building a sample. So, okay, this is the instructor. So they have to hit submit. In the settings of the
That'll be
video,
great as you take more online classes.
in the settings, when you're building this thing, you can tell it to not allow advancing forward or going back as well. So you can really get particular with how they go through it. You can also tie points to all of these quizzes or questions or interactions or whatever they call it. So it can generate points. Now, of course, with the free version, that doesn't integrate directly into Canvas, and the points don't get transferred to your gradebook automatically. So with the freebie version, you would have to log into the PlayPosit website to track the students, like how many points they got, and then manually bring those points over into your Canvas gradebook. But the cool thing that I liked about this one is the students don't need to have an account to interact with the content. You can set it up so that when they access the video link, it prompts them to enter their name. So if they want credit, they're going to be putting in their actual name so that when you log into your instructor portal, you can see, oh, Angela Meek has taken this, and you can see how far into it I've gotten, and so on. So I'll just pop out. There's this little side panel so I can see my progress as I go through it. This first little piece is a oh, that's the thought. Yeah, right here. So here's the thought thing that you could pose a question here, and then they would have to physically click continue. And then these are just your standard questions. Click all that apply. You can put multimedia into the prompts. And so you can put pictures, you can actually put other videos within these things as well, which might get a little too rabbit holey, but like, you know, you can put cute things in here. And then this is a true false question. Yeah, yes, you should always read that. Oh, here's a fill in the blank, and you can determine what the acceptable answers are, you know, done with a capital letter, not a capital letter, punctuation, etc. Here's just your standard. This is more of a survey thing, you know, and there's no right answer, but you're asking, how are you accessing Canvas? And then Wendy, to address your thing about bringing in other videos, this tool, as you're constructing, they call it a bulb. I don't know why, but the final product, that's what they call it. So as you're building your bulb, you can intersperse other YouTube videos with your own content. So in this particular video, I again, totally just playing around, I put at the end of it the clip from YouTube.
Big Snoop Bill Double G to all the university students. Yo, syllabus. You gotta do it. You gotta read it.
So as I'm building this thing, I can just bring in, and it's just a seamless transition from my content to whatever else I want to drop in there from any other YouTube video that's out there that's publicly accessible. And all you have to do is grab the URL when you're building it. And then you can put quiz questions on top of that content as well. So this is I don't know if it'll let me, because I've already published these. Yeah. So the interface is not terrible. You start out with a tab where you're going to drop in your video segments. So you can see all your segments as you add them, and you just click add video, and then it's either a link to your own stuff or something that's out on YouTube. Then you go to the interactions tab, and as you play back through your video, when it hits a point where you want to add a question, you just click add interaction, and then it walks you through what kind of interaction you want to add. And then you can review it and then save it and share it out. So that's obviously a very whirlwind tour. If somebody was interested in learning how to use this tool, I'm happy to do either a one-on-one or a small group workshop or whatever. Again, with the free version, though, the hardest part about it is getting it into Canvas. You can embed it directly into Canvas, so it will play back in Canvas, but the grades, if you want to use the point thing, don't transfer automatically with the free one. So anyway, that's one option.
That looks like an excellent option. I mean, that looks like it would solve at least a few of the issues for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and Angela, there was a question in the chat. Do you know how much it costs? Like, could individuals get this program, or would it be better to look into it institutionally?
Want to say, let me just go to there. I want to say it was like $299 a year. Yeah, so Classroom Pro,
Oh, yeah.
$9 a year, and then I would just have to request a custom quote.
Mhm.
That would come down to how many people would actually be interested in using it, of course, because it's one thing for, yeah, we're gonna buy, 500 licenses or whatever, and then 3 people end up using it.
Yeah.
That obviously wouldn't be worth it.
I mean, but the great thing is we can use our videos that already exist, which
Yes.
I imagine Wendy is thinking, oh, we don't have to remake all the Camtasia ones. You can
Exactly.
You
Well,
can
there's
keep
stuff-
using those Camtasia ones forever, Wendy.
Yes. I lost my toolbar. There it is. Let me stop this.
Angela, does Google have anything? I just took a class from them and the setup was so good. There was a question in the middle of the class and you couldn't continue until you answered it.
Like
had the
Google
script.
Classroom?
Oh, what?
Google Classroom or?
I took a class and so I don't know. Oh, it was through Coursera. That's who offered it. But I didn't know if Google created it or if Coursera. I think Google created it.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at Google with that lens, in my brain. It's possible they have something like that. I just really liked Play Pause It because once I figured out the interface, it was fairly simple to use, oh, here, I want to add a video, click, all I have to do. And you can search within the add a video tool, or if you've already pulled up the video in another browser window, you just grab the URL and dump it in there. So as long as that video doesn't get taken down by the original author, you can pull it in and then you just bring in your own stuff and splice it all together. And yeah, and then again, like it doesn't track down to the second, like Angela has watched 30 seconds of your video, but I guess it bases the progress on how many interactions I've completed.
Well, I wonder if, anyone has, as, our panelists were sharing their ideas or questions, if anyone else in the room was like, oh, I, have a way that I deal with that issue or something you would like to share, or even just to commiserate, like, this is also something I'm trying to figure out, so we can build a list of, kind of the things we would like to work on solutions for.
Yeah, I have the same experience, like in statistics class. And I think it's a second exam, students will bomb, how to do the sum of squares calculation. And I do it, and again, it's in my saved comments in Canvas. I refer you back to, chapter 4 video that shows you how to, please take another look, because this is going to be a recurring theme throughout the semester. And so, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, Laura, go ahead.
Well, to echo a little bit, and this ties into what Heidi just said, and also Wendy, your thoughts on, questioning whether students watch videos. I've actually asked students that question because YouTube analytics don't seem accurate. YouTube tells me fewer people are, if YouTube is correct, then like nobody is watching my videos, but I don't think if they're like accessing your video on Canvas with their phones, that it's going to be an accurate count. But I just asked students this, and a lot of them told me that they would just rather read the text of something. And so the idea, right, of sharing the script, but I realize for those of you who are working calculations literally on a whiteboard for students, you can't type that out the way I can type out, a definition of institutional racism or whatever it is. And so I think it is an interesting point about how, depending on our discipline, different videos are going to really be more useful than others. And maybe a way to integrate that in classes is to figure out what it is in your discipline that you really need to do via video. Or again, back to even some of the stuff Rachelle mentioned, and Rachel, I think you said so too, it's much quicker sometimes to respond with a video than to type out the 5-page email, right? Or the equivalent, right? So just, that's the lesson I'm taking away from this. So it's a really helpful discussion because I'm trying to kind of redesign my online class this summer. and thinking about a really good mix of where some things where text is going to be the better job, short video, others videos. And I already do some of that, but yeah, anyway, just kind of thinking through when is the video going to be the best option and when would students actually rather read something.
Angela, is it true that all videos have to have text with them? For some reason for ADA, I thought that was true.
Yes, video content is supposed to have captions and not just a transcript, but it's supposed to have the accurate time synced captions that display as the video is playing back.
So it doesn't have to have a separate script?
It does
Just
not.
Okay.
If you were to post the transcript along with it, a lot of students, I think, for the same reason that you mentioned, it's nice to have that script to go back and be like, I didn't catch the spelling of whatever that term was, or just kind of to have it. Some people, might print it off and take notes while they're watching the video. But yes, that is a piece of this puzzle.
Well, and that is a very time consuming piece, right? Is doing the captioning for videos.
That's my question for the panelists. I mean, because that's always been why I do have videos, but I haven't done this like full overhaul because I am very intimidated by how much time it's going to take. The captioning, right? I can shoot a video and I'm the one and done. Like, what did you call it? Wendy, the sort of quick and dirty, I'll do it literally on my back hill with my dog running around behind me. And I think students actually like that because you're like a real human being. But then all of the editing, and YouTube is pretty good, but you still have to go through it with a pretty fine tooth comb. So how do you panelists get around that? Or you've just resigned yourself that that's part of the job?
I do it slowly over time. Like I auto generate the initial set of captions. And then the first time I watch it, I'll fix 10 of them. And then the second time I'll watch it, I'll fix another 10, and third year, fix another 10. I try not to spend too much time worrying about it.
So to put
I do offer my students the alternative always of reading something. So I have a video, but I also tell them where some reading is. I mean, for our textbook, they could read section 7.2, or they could watch the video for their inverted classes. I don't care which one they do. Some of them do both. Sometimes they'll do both.
To put a slightly finer point on that, Rachel, I don't mean to like call you out on this, but are you saying that your videos are not always perfectly punctuated and capitalized as they're live? Because we've been told that has to happen. And me as a diligent rule follower, that has kept me from doing more videos because of all of the front loading.
Mm-hmm. No, I would never, ever be accused of being perfect or anywhere near perfect on anything that I've ever done. And I am also a rule follower. And I it's actually very hard on me to not follow the rules perfectly. And I feel badly about it. But I also have to do my job, and I only have a certain number of hours. And I know that eventually, I mean, have you listened to the number of years people have been doing this? I mean, I'm the newbie and I'm like 20 years in, right? And you know that over time you just get better. I mean, hopefully you just get better and you do things a little bit better each year and try to get better and better. But yeah, I don't think I do anything. Oh, did you see my back screen? Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. That is the back screen to my computer right now. Because it's the only way anything gets done first is to do it badly and then hopefully get better at it as you practice.
Yeah, I second what Rachel says. I have a bazillion videos, and Laura Lee started going through the Chem 100 ones because she was teaching it in the summer. And she was catching so few errors going through them that this is why I wish Angela was not sitting in on this, but we don't have time to do that stuff. If we're going to have, content out there, we do not have time to go through and do every single freaking word. So we try our best, but yeah, we're living in a real world here. And, it's to have to go through and find, you know, literally a couple of errors in a 10-minute video, you know, it's, yeah.
And to be clear, I find what both of you are saying very refreshing, but we can all acknowledge it is at odds with what we have been told. And I think that's the dilemma. But I really appreciate it because I think this is the middle ground that we all should be shooting for, because we could have a lot better content if we weren't held to some of those stipulations.
I'll just echo what Rachel and Wendy said. Is I take the same approach. I rely on YouTube, and then not all the videos, some of them I pull up and just see or watch and look how well it did. And if it's bad, I go in. If it's good enough, I move on.
I'm a huge fan of the semicolon because then you don't have to capitalize what comes after it. So, you know, I'll go through, and as I see clauses that need a little break, I might just put in a semicolon, which is saving me a couple keystrokes, right?
So one of the hacks that I like to do after YouTube generates my auto captions is I go in and I will actually switch it to the transcribing mode, where it's just a block of text in YouTube, and I will copy all of that into a Word document, and then I will use find and replace to find and replace all the lowercase i's with capital I's, and you know.
Now it does the capital I's.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, like I say Canvas a lot in my videos because most of the time my videos are about Canvas, which it never capitalizes, and so I'll just go find and replace Canvas with a capital C and other things like that. So there are a few hacks out there that can help with the, you know, but the big, like I said in the chat, like the big thing is those content errors. I mean, if it's an error that's so egregious that the student would go, "What are you talking about?" Those are the kind of errors you definitely want to be looking for in your captions. Yeah.
Well, and Rachelle, I see you have a hand up, and we're just about out of time. So why don't you share your brilliance with us?
I don't know if it's going to be that. I just wanted to mention Screencastify. I threw it in the chat, but it's a Google Chrome add-on. And so it's actually in the toolbar in your browser window, and you can use just the video, just the screen, or actually have the talking head on there. And you link it up with your YouTube account, and it goes to Google Drive. You click YouTube, and then it just has to process. And then I'll do that instead of using Canvas, because I think it was Jill, you mentioned that you've recorded multiple videos and then Canvas that just doesn't upload. And I've had that happen so many times that I just don't trust Canvas videos anymore. So there was that. And then I just had a couple tips for things that I've learned from using Camtasia, Screencastify, and Snagit. I had a big issue just getting used to talking to a black box, because I've always talked to my students and tried to have a dialogue. And so I realized one of the issues was that I wasn't standing up. And so if you're trying to create lecture videos, if you can use your standing desk, like don't sit down and record, actually stand up, because I realized just moving around like I would in a classroom helped me get away from those scripts that were so restrictive and felt so unnatural. And then another thing that I over time realized that I could do was, if I realized I made a mistake, I can't tell you how many videos I've deleted and re-recorded like 3 minutes in, or even 10 minutes in. And then I realized, okay, I can stop and pause and then pick back up where I was speaking. And it's so simple, but I don't even want to tell you how many videos I went through before I realized, oh, I could just pause and then clip it out. And that's also as the technology improved. But yeah, I just pause for about 5 seconds and then start, before, and then I can go in and clip out that little piece. And it's not perfect, but again, there's some literature I can send that, students don't want the really polished, videos. They want you to see you as a human. And so those little mistakes that make you a human, I think are endearing, but also engaging to some extent. So yeah, that's all I had.
Thank you. And thank you, all of you. This has been such a helpful conversation. And I think we've generated, a lot of ideas. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I never thought of, just standing up, Rachelle. I think that's what I need to do. Right. So, so many Excellent ideas. And also, I think we have some questions and, maybe a wish list for the future. So thank you to all of our panelists and for all of you who are here today with great contributions. This has been really wonderful.